because it's your story.
That's the hardest part. People don't want to part with their story.
But we get so attached to it. You know,
Right.
we were talking earlier about
Yeah.
therapy, and, you know, there are many times when therapy is an important part of someone's process and discovery
Yes.
and healing. And then there's a place where it can get to be an attachment to a story that's
Yeah.
used to keep, you know, I mean, I know for me, I was in therapy for 10 years, and I was just there because it was a place for staying conscious and growing and aware. But I also got to tell you, I kept the story going for a long time. And then when I look back on that and go, you know, you could have cut that into about a quarter of
Yeah.
the length of
And
time.
that's the difference, I think, between a therapist and a coach. I mean, most of my clients know, okay, no story.
Yeah.
I train them very early
Good.
that, bottom line it.
Yeah.
Because they could spend a whole session going on about what they love, their story.
Well,
and that goes nowhere.
And it not only goes nowhere, and you know this, but I want to tell our viewers, you know, the other side is every time we tell our story, we are anchoring the story.
Oh, yes.
We are now sending it into our cellular memory, and we're anchoring it. We start to have a movement, a breathing pattern, a whole relationship to that story that comes alive in us. And it's like, if it's not a good one, I don't think, I mean, for me, I choose not to repeat stories that don't work. Like today on the way here, I had a couple of lousy experiences on the, with airlines, a series of them. And I stood in line with a woman and she goes, well, you're having a lousy day. I said, oh, no, I'm not having a lousy day. I've had a lousy hour or two, but that's all that it's going to be.
Right.
See,
Yeah.
even that I wanted to bracket. It's like nobody's taking a day from me. You might get an hour or two. You're not getting a whole day.
Oh, I know. And that's, we love our stories, and a therapist, I think, lets you go with the stories.
Well, you and I were talking about this earlier, and one of the big discoveries, the thing that I'm out promoting and really a stand for, is that 10 years ago, when I was, part of our job as coaches is to help clients manage that voice in our head. And the voice is you should, you have to, you ought to, you shoulda, woulda, coulda, you're not doing it right, you're not enough. Anytime, duty, obligation, anytime you hear those stories that are telling you you have to do something, basically I got curious. So if our job, Terry, is to help clients manage that voice, then how much of the time is that voice really having its way? So I was sharing with you earlier, I got curious. I walked around for 3 years asking GE executives, IBM executives, anybody I met for 3 years, if we have, I also had read that we had 14,000 thoughts a day, so I started saying, well, if we have 14,000 thoughts a day, how many of those are the voice in your head telling you you're not enough? And it was shocking. I got the same answer for 3 years. And you said that at dinner. So what is that number?
I said 100%.
Yeah. Well, thank heavens it's not quite 100, but really the number I was hearing.
99.9.
Yes.
Or something?
I
Okay.
cannot tell you. I heard 99.9. Now, I mean, even NASA scientists that I work with were 60%. I mean, they said 60%. So you think about the implications of that voice having its way with us to that extent. If we don't help people realize that is running all the time, that it's not personal, that it says the same thing to everybody,
Right.
then people
That's
take it
interesting.
personally and they end up working on stuff they don't need to. Just don't listen to the story or the voice.
And I think when they hear it, the answer is, what voice? What are you talking about?
Well, right.
I don't have any voices. Oh, sure you do,
Well, because they're fish in water, right? How does a
Right.
fish know it's in water?
Right.
It doesn't. It's
Right.
like we're so in it, we think that's reality, capital R, when it's, as we talked about earlier, a great novel, but
Right.
there's this whole life outside that. And that's really what we're talking about, being present.
And asking clients to start to, what I do anyway, is start to separate when they hear the voices and really listen for them and tune in when they can say, oh, interesting that that voice is going.
Yeah.
And once they can start to open that door just a little bit,
Yes.
there's like, oh my God,
Right.
you know,
And you
it's
know why
like
that
the
is?
light comes in.
Yes, because that every time you open that up,
Mm,
that other part has
mm,
exponential impact.
mm.
So every time we're present, or every time that other 1% or whatever opens up, it's like there's even more there to be had, and it's exponential.
Hmm.
So it's like a break in the dam, you know.
Exactly, but to do that, of course, is takes some doing.
Got to start
Yeah,
somewhere,
yeah.
right?
So Therese is going to actually be at the ICF New York City chapter members meeting, giving a presentation on Wednesday evening, this coming Wednesday, June 20th. And if you've liked what you've heard, and it's been great, please go to our website, www.icfnyc.org, and you can sign up and come to our meeting on Wednesday evening and see Therese in person.
Well, I would love to have you join us.
Uh-huh.
We're going to do some exciting things, and you'll get to see and experience. Experience is a key word,
Mm-hmm.
firsthand. How that lives out, how
Mm,
it gets
mm,
to be an attachment to drama,
mm.
that voice in our head, and how we've confused that with a false sense of aliveness. And it's going to be
Interesting.
experiential, and
Mm.
coaches are the most amazing people. So
Oh, that's for
you'll
sure.
definitely want to
That's great.
join the chapter.
Do you want to just take a minute and give our folks out there your website in case they want to go to it and read more
Oh,
about you,
I would
please?
love to. My
Thank you.
website, as you might guess, is www.radicalleadership.com. So that's www.radicalleadership.com. And
Great.
I'd love for you to come and visit both the chapter and the website. We're doing some very exciting things.
Sounds great. Absolutely. So you were telling me at dinner that you were interviewed on the Larry King In View
Yes.
program. Would you tell us a little about that, if you could share that, and
Oh,
what went
sure.
on and what you spoke about?
Sure, I'd love to. So, actually, 8 years ago, when I started Radical Leadership, I started working with a company that is an amazing company
Mm-hmm.
in Chicago of 2,400 people.
Mm.
And the CEO and the COO were both being coached by me, and they wanted to start creating what they called a conscious company,
Mm-hmm.
which involved the awareness and
Mm-hmm.
responsibility. And they decided to utilize radical leadership as a way to do that. And because radical leadership really is about waking up and
Mm-hmm.
about seeing things that
Mm-hmm.
you hadn't seen.
Mm-hmm.
And so for 8 years, they've been integrating that program in their company. They
Mm.
now are, they originally were just going to do their executive team. Now they deliver it all the way
Mm.
down to even union employees.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were selected to do a program with InView, which is an educational
Mm-hmm.
series
Mm-hmm.
of Larry King's, apparently. And they came in and wanted to know, how did you create success? They wanted to interview employees, see what was happening,
Mm-hmm.
what the employees were experiencing, and really, I mean, what people were discovering was
Mm-hmm.
just a sense of their own ability to create whatever they wanted, to not be stopped in life by anyone or anything, to give up all their excuses and their stories that kept them from owning their personal power, to be able to see where they were attached to drama and old stories that
Mm-hmm.
kept them from creating
Mm-hmm.
what they wanted
Mm-hmm.
and being
Mm-hmm.
powerful. And so it was very exciting and
Uh-huh.
certainly a great honor. And
What's he like?
well, I didn't get to see Larry.
Oh,
Yeah, he was not there. It's actually
oh, okay.
it was actually
Okay.
his film crew that
Got
came
it.
in, so he
Okay.
wasn't there.
Oh,
But
okay.
I look forward to the day that you and I'll meet him. Right?
That would be fun. So I love
Exactly.
that. Conscious company.
Yeah.
I guess the word conscious says it all.
Oh, it was
You
so
know.
exciting what this company is
Mm-hmm.
up to,
Mm-hmm.
and the commitment. And we have a bigger commitment to a world where conscious company becomes a standard for other
Mm.
corporations, because we want the kind of world where people are awake and in
Mm.
this moment and choosing intentionally. And you know, when all of us are using our power, we stay out of trouble. We're like little kids, you know.
Exactly.
If we're not doing something that's worthwhile, we're getting in trouble. And
Right.
you know,
Exactly.
let's choose one of those and move that direction.
I love that conscious company.
Yeah.
Um, that's a wonderful way of putting it.
Well, really,
Because
because they've now had well over 1,000 people go through that program, and it's transformed their marriages and their
sure, I
lives
can
and their
understand that.
workplace and their relationship with their kids. It's not conducive to business. It's about our being whole human beings.
Yes, being conscious,
Yeah.
which is sounds easy to do,
Yeah. Well, you and I have been
uh,
talking about that, right?
not so to execute, shall we say.
Right.
So, what else would you? I mean, you've done so much, and
Yeah.
have really coaching coaches, training coaches.
Yeah.
You know, really being out in the coaching community,
Well, I
and
do
so I
think
really
coaching.
love
Well,
that.
here's what I'd love to say, and thanks
Please.
for sort of prodding me a little. Honestly, I think coaching is a tremendous profession, and that we are very privileged to be coaches. And I also believe that coaching has actually given birth to create more consciousness in the world. And I believe that we're a crucial part of waking up in a way that we have opportunity now in the world that we've never had before. Honestly, we have attached ourselves out of that thinking that you and I were talking about, that old thinking that keeps us stuck and keeps us in an old story. We have kept ourselves in a past with that story, and if we don't break free of it, then we are going to maintain and stay stuck in struggle and suffer. But I believe now there's a time that we can actually give that up by simply letting go of those old thoughts, and that coaches are crucial to doing that and contributing to that
Right.
possibility.
It's very hard to do that alone. You can't take that journey by yourself.
Oh
You know,
no.
and that's I think where coaching comes in and is so valuable to somebody really transforming and changing. You can't change until you get to see what you're doing.
Well, those old habits,
Yeah,
those old
right,
voices are
right,
strong
mm,
centrifugal force
mm,
and a default pattern. So the
right,
gift of coaching is that you have a champion, you have somebody celebrating you, you have
yes,
somebody calling you on
mm,
your stuff,
mm,
challenging you, and really loving and adoring you and being a
mm,
stand for your
yeah,
life. And that's the privilege of what we get to do. And you know what? It makes a difference.
that's so true. One of my clients in one of my testimonials called me being a port to come home in, a drill
Mm.
sergeant, a big teddy bear, you know,
Yeah.
such different ways of describing me.
Yeah.
And so we get to be all those things.
And I'd say
You know,
that you were an excellent coach then if you were wearing all those hats, because really that is our job, to be each of those.
and to be someone's cheerleader and to know that, you know, somebody is really in their corner
Yeah.
in helping them, not coddling them or cajoling them, you know, but really letting them know. So,
Yeah.
you know, we could go on and on
I
and
think we
on.
could. Well, we did at supper and we're doing it again now, and we
It's
have
like
a great thing to go on about.
it is.
Yeah.
You know, we've got a couple of seconds left. Hard to believe this is goes
It's
so
that
quickly.
that much
You know,
time has passed
that's already
already.
passed.
Wow.
But I want to make sure to say thank you. Really, I met Therese for the first time tonight, and she is speaking at our meeting on Wednesday, and I've just so enjoyed your presence, your company, listening to you. You're just such a wealth of information that is just delightful, and I was so pleased that you could come earlier and be on the show because she hails from Wisconsin.
Yes. Well, it
To
was
even come and
delightful
do
to
that.
be here and delightful to spend time with you. And it's definitely my privilege to speak to your listening
Oh
audience.
gosh.
And I encourage you to come to the chapter, whether it's Wednesday night, I'd love to see you. But honestly, anytime, because it's an amazing chapter. And you have an example of that with Terry here. So
Thank you. Thank you. Great.
great.
Thank you.